Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. I'm Ted Bonnet.
And I'm Phil Proctor, but I don't hear myself.
You don't?
No.
You're not missing much.
Our producer, Donna's coming in and saying, here, get out of the way. She's saying, get out of the way. And there. Oh, my God, I can hear myself. Oh, this is wonderful. I love listening to my voice. And
first of all, we've been gone a month.
We've been gone a month, and we'll talk a little bit about that.
And I wanted to thank MC Gainey, who was a very, very devoted co-host, substitute co-host.
Good.
He was wonderful. And we had a great time with Troy Evans, who was a guest, and
Noel.
Yeah, Noel Blanc.
Noel Blanc.
Last week was
Mel Blanc's son, who has had an amazing career himself.
Was any of that hereditary? Does he do voices?
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
In fact, he did the voices for a few years after his dad passed, I think. I mean, Noel was a radio producer. He and his dad partnered for 35 years, and they were doing sort of Freeburg-like comedy radio spots. They discovered they hired Robin Williams for his first radio gig.
First radio gig.
Yes, it's on our website because this is also a podcast, the Sexy Boomer Show, and you can go to sexyboomershow.com. You can hear the Noel Blanc because Noel himself is like a Zelig figure. He not only does he have incredible stories about his dad, but he's been in these incredible circumstances, from being best friends with Kirk Douglas and almost dying in a helicopter crash with him.
He was in that. I remember that.
Yeah, and Noel was witness to Nicole Simpson being introduced to O.J. Simpson the first time, and then went on double dated with them the first two dates. Wow. And then years later, he's with Bob Shapiro, who's an old friend, and the Kardashians, who he went to school with. When they got the calls from O.J. on the way back,
I watched the Kardashians, and I'm sort of glad Bob's passed. Yeah, because he's rolling over in his whatever. His
but we're talking with our guests Fritz Coleman and Louise Palanker, who are doing a podcast of their own.
That's
for
right.
a couple of years about the media. It's called Media Path, correct?
Yes, sir.
The Media Path
podcast.
We're doing a podcast about what we're doing.
I love it.
It's an infinity loop. And it's endless.
Oh,
There's no escape.
I can see. I don't see any more gray hair, though.
No, I just went to the salon.
When I was talking to Fritz right before the show, I mentioned that Marshall McLuhan, who I had the pleasure to meet in a very funny and strange way, he said the medium is the message. And I kind of understood that. Television is different from movies. But today, the media is the message.
He couldn't fathom social media.
Right, there's no control of it. It's any kind of a message can get through if you believe in the medium that you're listening to. Well, it must be true. It was on social media.
And I think that's we've been been around a few decades, the cascading effect of the fairness doctrine and the commercialization and privatization of the news segments of licensed broadcast
Citizens
signals.
United, all of that has made
Citizens United. That is, to me, the
single biggest mistake the Supreme Court ever made.
Yeah, we should make it Citizens Untied.
It wasn't a mistake from their perspective.
No.
It was by design. And how dare you not embrace the feelings of corporations, which are people.
Because they're people, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're big people.
Yeah.
They're big
No,
people.
but you're right about that, and that's the conundrum we find ourselves in now. There's no gatekeeping in social media news delivery.
Yeah.
How are we going to do this? Because people have been twisted and bent, and that's why we find ourselves where we do, because people really don't know what's true.
But I'll tell you something. During the Hitler regime, radio was the instrument of propaganda. That was the medium, and it was their message. Now we have, right-wing radio stations that thousands of them as compared to one Tom Hartman. Right.
Well, that's because of the siloing effect. I mean, we had the water cooler conversations. There were 3 broadcast networks. There was by virtue, a consensus, and now things have been siloed to a point where, without regulation, the shattering effect of attention splitting is such.
Well, if you're driving, that's true. It's shattering.
But it's disorienting.
Hey, it's disorienting because the chips come from China. Thank you. It was like a delay.
I'll be here all week.
There was a little timer there. Listen, sorry. You were just going to say something.
No. I was going to say that that's just a very interesting comment. My friend was a professor at Cal State Northridge, and had a whole sort of an investigation he did about this particular phenomenon. He called it vertical learning. Back when we were kids, there were 3 networks. We had these iconic figures, which were,
Walter Cronkite,
Huntley, Brinkley, those guys. And your information came from a fairly trustworthy source. He said now, because it's not a buyer's market, I beg your pardon, it's not a seller's market, it's a buyer's market. You can consume your media any way you want, and you can consume only the media you're interested in.
That's
For instance, he used to describe it to his college students this way: if you're interested in only skateboarding, you can go on the internet and you can be the most knowledgeable person on the planet about skateboarding, but it's a silo, as you mentioned. It's vertical learning. But that doesn't make for a great voting public because they don't know what's going on either side of them.
I'm telling you,
I'm pro skateboard. Vote for me.
And if I were skateboarding, it'd be a horizontal event. Now, Louise, you have a long history. You're one of the co-founders of, I guess, one of the first radio distributors, Premier Radio.
I don't know that we were first. I think it feels like we were sort of midstream, and we never could have appreciated the wave that we were on was going to hit the shore. That was an unknown. Radio was radio, and it was forever. And now you just announced at the top of your show this is also available as a podcast, because now streaming is, pressing pause and coming back to something and having it be there for you is what everyone expects.
And it's interesting because we've been doing the podcast for a couple of years. And it's as you know, it's an entirely different animal from radio.
Well, yeah, we get a lot of whales listening to our podcast.
When we started doing the show here, we were talking about how we increased our audience by probably 100-fold.
Our
listener.
Two
we have
people,
listener now. And the thing is that radio still has that collective experience. I get more response and feedback from friends and people who listen to the show because it's still an appointment. It's sort of a group activity. It's an entirely different consumption process than the podcast is.
And that's odd because you would think, well, at least I thought that when this global network really opened up to us, I thought, what a wonderful opportunity now to share ideas and all that. But the narrowcasting aspect of it didn't occur to me.
I mean, what didn't occur to us was that not only were people going to only consume content about skateboards, if that was their bent, but they were also going to want to consume content that agreed with them, that validated what they wanted to believe was true.
Yeah, the echo chamber aspect.
Bias confirmation.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's what's scary, because we didn't realize now these people have come to the surface and they're very loud and they're angry, and they enjoy being loud and angry. It's kind of what fuels them.
Well, actually, they are an example of artificial intelligence.
It's degenerating into a situation that's a bit of a concern. I think we're in a pretty warm, cold war right now domestically. And a lot of that is fueled by using aggrievement to motivate people, because anger is an energy, right?
And weaponize them.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say about your exact point. The thing we have to figure out is where we put the First Amendment aside and then protect the health and welfare of citizens of the United States.
What is free speech?
Yeah, what is free speech? I mean, when it becomes destructive, then it's yelling fire in a crowded place.
Yeah.
But I think the only thing that gives what they call legacy media, or all the typical channels and networks and papers, is credibility, is that over time people understand that that's where truth is coming from. It's just mind-blowing to me that the previous administration, all the stuff they predicted and all the stuff they blabbed about, none of it came true. So how do these digital networks still have credibility? It just kills me.
It's amazing that Trump
that guy.
He's up again for defamatory statements about the woman that
he's going to sue him again.
Yes.
I think that's fantastic.
God bless her. And it's the same thing that's happening to people who they are sticking with him because he's victimized. It's a political.
But it's interesting. Wonderful podcast, the New York Times Daily. And they did a piece yesterday about this, which was fascinating. They were talking about the reporter had gone to the first RNC meeting. It was down in Dana Point. to sort of assess what they're going to do for this election. And the conundrum they're facing for selling out is that there's a solid, unmovable 30% or so of the base that will never vote for anything but Trump. But that's not enough to elect him.
Right.
So that DeSantis is trying to come in and appeal to that base by not attacking Trump too much. And
What a game.
he's a human wrecking ball. I mean, I have followed Trump since New York in the late 70s.
You were there, and you could have warned us ahead of time what happened.
It's so funny, going back to we were talking about, I would go down south in the early 80s to see, my sister married somebody from down there and went down there. I would go to Atlanta. And, they always had this distrust of us New Yorkers, fast-talking New Yorkers. And then they end up falling for the one
They
that
were bamboozled by the biggest.
the one that we all knew was an ass.
So you've been doing your show for 2 years now. Is that about right?
I'm not good at math, Phil, but we just did episode 300 and no.
Oh, my.
Wait, what was 137. I knew there was a 3 in
okay.
it. See, Phil, I warned you. I can't even quote numbers accurately,
That's
but
good.
137. So
Wow.
however many weeks that is, because we've only taken a few weeks off.
And you've been. Who would you say was the most interesting person that you interviewed, or what are you learning about media and its effect, and what are you doing with this podcast?
We are learning that, you can really embrace your passions from your childhood. All that is now findable. TV shows that where your parents were, you took you somewhere and you missed Flipper. You can find Flipper. He's there. So all the stuff that you thought was just like a vapor, drifting away, and you couldn't, you didn't have enough money to buy that record.
That's right.
And you don't even remember how it goes. Now you could type in like 3 words from a song.
Yep.
And Google will show you the song, and then Spotify will play you the song. So we love just finding those things that really, really touched our hearts as kids. And then we love introducing folks to new content that they can enjoy. So we start the show by recommending things. We don't review. We just recommend the things we love. And then we have guests on, and we talk to them about their media path, not only what they're consuming, but what they're creating.
I think on our wall of fame, it would be Adam Schiff, one of the brightest politicians. His book was so good.
Yeah, a hero.
Yes, and so dense, and he's got to become senator. I hope he will. But
I agree.
But and Henry Winkler,
Oh,
who may be singly the most lovely human being in show business. We had the pleasure of producing a pilot with him for Comedy Central. And the honor was to walk around various places with him and see the planet react to Henry Winkler. We'd go into ICM or one of these places, and the seas would part. And it's the Fonz, and they give him a round of applause, and everybody asked for an autograph, or everybody asked for a selfie, and he was patient with every single person and looked them in the eye and asked them about themselves. It's something that always has appealed to me in my peripheral role in show business, being a local weatherman, which is slightly below dinner theater in the hierarchy. But I love people who are immensely talented but comfortable in their own skin. Henry is a great example of that. Wouldn't you say that he's probably one of the best guests we've had?
Oh yes, he's just extremely warm, and he's very interested. He's very active, and he loves knowing what's going on, and he loves participating. So Henry on Twitter, you guys should follow Henry on Twitter. It's almost as good as following Cher. Are you guys following Cher? Oh yeah, it's relentlessly entertaining. Cher, there is not an emoji that Cher hasn't become comfortable with. I think she's just playing emoji roulette. She just taps one. And,
I've been following Henry on Barry.
Yeah.
God.
What I mean,
Actor,
and that performance has more impact when you know that he is so far the opposite of that character.
Yeah.
Although his empathy in the character comes out.
No, that's the only way people get behind.
Well,
it.
here's a topper. In Italy, they have a snack called Fonzies.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
and it says in Italian on the front, if you don't lick your fingers, you're not getting the full pleasure.
I love that.
And they're great. They're like little corn twisty.
You know who would
things.
love that is DeSantis, because he likes to enjoy pudding with his fingers.
That's right.
Upon occasion, it's been rumored.
Fritz, you mentioned that you were a weatherman. And that's how, of course, I first got to know you. And you were delightful in doing it. How did you find your way into that? Now, David Letterman, remember, was also in Indianapolis. He was a weatherman.
I will tell you, and I say up front as my great disclaimer, real meteorologists hate this story. But I was a comic at the Comedy Store, and I was working in 1982, and my friend that worked at NBC at the time said, "I'm coming down to see your show on Friday night. I'm bringing my boss and his wife." So he came down there. And I had a short anecdote in the midst of my show because I had started my broadcasting career in Armed Forces Radio when I was in the Navy for 4 years. And I was on a ship, and I did radio shows and TV shows. And I did weather. And the Navy didn't seem to care that I didn't know anything about weather. They just forced me to do it. As long as my shoes were shined and I was reasonably respectful to the anchor people, they didn't care.
You had a meteorologist who was telling you what was going to happen.
No. I would rip the stuff from the AP copy
I love it.
and say, okay, how is it in the Central Atlantic right now? And I would read this to the sailors.
Personal.
Really. And so after my show was over at the Comedy Store on this Friday night, I went backstage to meet these people, and this man said, "I have a question to ask you. It's a little off the wall, but do you have any desire to come to Channel 4 and do some vacation relief weathercasting for me? I have a main guy who hasn't had a vacation in a year. I need help on the weekends. Would you have any desire in doing that?" And I was making $35 a set at the Comedy Store. I said, "When do you want me to start?"
I made $35 a week doing an off-Broadway show in 1963 or something like that.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Yes.
$35.
And you were farther up the food chain in fame than I certainly was, but I
was climbing. I was starting to climb.
But then I said, yes, I mean, I would love to do that. What do I have to do? He said, well, you have to audition. And I said, I think I explained on stage, I don't know anything about weather. And the boss said, this will be perfect. There's no weather in California. This will work out great.
Weather or
So
not.
this is true.
It's a true story. So I got my job from doing it from the Comedy Store, and over the arc of time, I retired 2 weeks shy of my 40th anniversary there.
Wow.
But over the arc of time, now there's climate change and people are taking weather really serious. And so I couldn't even get the job. Everybody has to have the AMS seal now, that American Meteorological Society thing. That means that you have a degree in meteorology or atmospheric sciences. I couldn't pass that test.
And try booking them. The person that's always quoted in the papers at UCLA, the weather.
I know they have.
Can't get them. You know, they're so inundated with media requests.
No, it's a big deal now.
It's a big deal.
And for any disbelievers now, you better pull your head out of wherever it is, because it's here.
So it's true that you were a weather forecaster on a major market.
Two major markets, San Diego too, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we did San Diego for a while too.
Because they always said that. It's like back east, you'd hear about that. Well, there's no weather in LA. What does a weather forecaster do? And
there is weather in LA, though. That's just a broad statement by people who are vacationing here for a brief period of time. Yes, I learned over time from on-the-job training that there are 4 or 5 recurrent weather patterns in Southern California. The main one between April and November is morning clouds and fog, hazy afternoon sun, high in the low 70s. What was the question? But as a comedian, my function was greater than being a weatherman. I considered myself the palate cleanser between the tragedy and the sports.
Very good.
Somebody needed a tire squealing
amuse-bouche.
Yep. And so, but that role's completely gone now. Now they're not playing around, you know.
I had read years ago that local news, television news, was always having to appeal to every demographic.
Yes.
And the weather forecaster.
Why they call it broadcast.
Yes. And the weather forecasting segment was a prime opportunity to hire somebody that would appeal to older ladies who didn't like the violence. So they would always try to hire a young looking, like a nice boy. A nice boy.
That's our Fritzy.
I'm the quintessential
it's
nice
Fritz.
boy.
And Weezy.
You know, when I started producing his plays and we would take them around.
Yeah, one man
shows.
One man shows.
So Ian was our young tech guy that would advance the slides on a play that he did that included like a audio visual presentation. But after the show one day, Ian whispers to me out of the side of his mouth, as he sees that Fritz bum rushed after the show, Ian goes, Fritz can get all the 80-year-old tail he wants.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about it is, you expressed it perfectly. We're the only non-threatening part of the newscast, which is the weather.
But now it is.
Yeah, now it is. Now it's killing people, and it's, oh my God, here we go. But it was this recurring character, and the local media is very interesting. Because you become part of the continuity of people's lives. And I learned this from people's response to me in the public, both good and bad, that even if they don't like you, if you're on the air for 40 years, they know who you are.
Yeah,
You used to call it TVQ. You would have
Familiar,
a high recognizable factor.
Yeah.
Even if they hated your guts,
right.
they knew exactly who you were. But when you think about it, I came on at the same time, 20 after 5, for 40 years in a row.
Wow.
So people would turn the TV on. Oh, Fritz is here. I must still be alive because there's the guy that delivers me the weather. But seriously, you become part of the continuity of their lives.
Yeah, you become part of their family.
That's really
fixture.
interesting.
Your
Fritz is
son
so
may not call, but Fritz will be on.
Yeah, that's right. And truthfully, it's one of the only mediums where you break the fourth wall. And there's an intimacy, even though it's a false intimacy, there's an intimacy that goes along with that. And so you really connect to people. And then you'll have an 85-year-old woman that will come up to me in Vaughn's at 10 o'clock at night and say, listen to me, I watched you all the time you've been on the air, and I love you. You're a part of my family. And don't ever wear that tie you wore last week. It's very unflattering
All
to
right,
your eye
Mother.
color. They have a proprietary interest in you. It's
Did you know
unbelievable.
that Fritz's mother was the first woman in her county to invest in a satellite dish so that she could make sure her son was okay?
Oh,
She
that's
watched
in
me
Florida.
you know.
Now
Crazy.
you implied that you were a character, that you were playing a part. I never got that vibe from you watching.
No,
you.
I think I played a part within the newscast.
Good.
But
that
I
was
mean,
your role.
I think, because I'll tell you another thing I learned. It's very interesting you brought that up. The camera does not lie. People can see into your soul. It's so interesting. Because I would do speaking engagements, and people would say, what's the deal with that anchor guy at 5 o'clock? Because although he's never said anything overtly negative, people can see people's attitude. They can see their narcissism. They can see the way they react with their coworkers, and they just know. You don't have to say anything. They just know.
Absolutely.
When I first
right.
moved west from New York, I didn't have anything going yet. And I wanted to pick up, I wasn't going to go back. I had just moved in the late fall, and I wasn't going to go back east for Christmas. It was too early. So I thought, I know how to get some work real fast. I can write because I wrote for CNN and NBC back in New York. And so I thought, I'll just go to a local, which I've never done. So I went to Fox, which was at the time, or I guess it still is, a union shop. It was actually a pretty good pay.
Yeah.
And I was thrust into this environment for the first time for about a week or two. First of all, there's certain things you learn about Christmas time in a newsroom. You do get the turkey dinners, but they're only from Chinese restaurants. All the Chinese restaurants
like the
and then
movie.
all the news personality and reporters, they each take turns buying the news writers and the crew dinner. That's sort of their penance for sucking the wind out of everybody's pay. And it was really fascinating. And John Beard was...
That's the guy that brought his boss to see me perform because he worked at Channel 4 at the time.
John did.
John's one of my best friends.
Wow. Now,
I spoke to him yesterday.
Well,
He's ritired in Buffalo, New York. He lives in a hotel with his dog, and he's never been happier.
He's probably growing a beard.
So he came in. So I was observing him, and I was, just observing the personalities of this news team and what they were doing, and the women in the really tight dresses who was doing weather. I don't know how you competed with that.
If you can watch the weather with the sound turned down.
Oh, yes.
So John, and this is not taking anything away from John, but it's like, what gets him that salary? I was watching him. Yeah. He came in kind of late. Was a very nice guy. Goes into his office. He reads through. Very, very low key. Comes in and says, "Try that." And, okay, great, John. Very low key. And he gets on, and we write the newscast. And now I'm going to sit around and wait for 10 o'clock to see how it goes. And I'm just watching him intently of like, what's his secret? And he's just a regular guy. He sits down, and then they're doing the countdown to 3, 2, 1, and he does this face like, "Good evening," and I went, "There it is, there it is."
Ray Hamburger.
But I must tell you, He's been my friend for a long time. I worked in radio in Buffalo when he worked in television. I worked for the radio station, WBEN, that was owned by the television station, where he was the anchor, and we got together and spent many nights in bars late at night. And he is one of the few people who is exactly the same personality-wise, not delivery-wise, off the air as he is on. One of the funniest, warmest people, and people loved him. And not a workaholic. You know, he'd come in at 5 minutes before the show, and
that's kind of what I picked up on.
Yeah,
and I was like, it's all his
technique.
His technique.
No, it really is. He was a great television communicator, and those days are drifting away too.
Oh,
the importance of the main anchor person is drifting down because of cable news. But it must have been an interesting sort of a complex feeling for you. I know it was for him. Because Fox was just doing a local newscast. They didn't have the political bent that the network had.
That's right.
But people would paint them with the right-wing aura that they thought was, and he said it was a tough thing.
They're separate entities. They really
absolutely.
are. The prime time is entertainment.
We ran into the same thing at NBC because MSNBC is the left version of, and so people would go out, it's all left-wing crap in the public. I said, not us.
No.
We're doing drive-bys. We're doing freeway chases. How could that be politically bent?
That's right.
Anecdotally, but I find that Fox News affiliates in even smaller markets usually have a much better operation than the others, and they are completely separate. They are a news gathering operation.
They don't have a political axe to grind. They're just local news.
That's
it's a whole different set of circumstances.
But they did come over to me at one point and said, Ted, I'm so sorry to ask you to write this, but it's like day-old news. But it's good, and it was bloody. It was bleed at Leeds, right? So it was it was accident footage. But it was the telegenics of the story. It didn't matter that it was old news.
No, people would say to me, why is it important to show a fire at an apartment building in Chicago to a Los Angeles audience? And I said, because it's a visual medium. It's whatever raises the emotions of the person viewing. And if you see a fire where people are jumping out the window, they don't care if it's in Chicago or San Francisco.
That's right.
It still has an emotional reaction.
And that's that's an interesting point. I have a lifelong consumer of nightly news. I read papers primarily, but I want to see the visuals to organically sort of connect with the story. And so I have, my dad, it's just a hit, my dad's gone now, but we kind of grew up watching NBC News, and we always liked Lester Holt. We always liked Lester Holt.
Good guy.
So I'm watching Lester Holt, and I got to say, in the last year or so, they have really softened their edge, and it's pandering, and it's emotional, and they run... Literally, NBC Nightly News runs the same footage, sometimes 2-3 newscasts in a row.
Wow.
And their whole A block, which is usually the first 4 minutes, the other day was devoted to the chase of the Royals in New York, which was the New York City Police said was a non-story. They did a full 5 minutes because they wanted to connect it to the horrors of Princess Diana's death.
I don't watch network news. I watch MSNBC. So I know Lester Holt exists, but I don't watch his show because it doesn't seem necessary after I've watched like a couple of blocks of Nicole Wallace and
because they're dealing with the same news. Pretty much.
And as we said at the beginning, the iconic tentpole guy is not important for the newscast anymore. I mean, that was because in the Cronkite era, that newscast was an amalgam of everything you needed to know in the day. You had no other resource to go to other than the newspapers, so you could learn a little about politics, a little about international affairs, a little about something interesting locally that happened. Now, if you're interested in politics, you go to one of the cable networks.
Right. So they're looking for a viewer who isn't me. So I'm not sure what they're after, but they're after someone who is not as invested in the news.
Well, you know what I do now? I listen to CNN and MSNBC on my smartphone.
Yes, absolutely.
Just listening
I do the
to
same thing. Have the app on there.
And they have wonderful descriptions of the stuff that they're showing. And I'm doing the old radio, see it in my own imagination. I don't have to really watch the Ukraine war footage to know what's happening. Now, I want to mention one thing. Both of you have a connection to Buffalo.
Yes.
Were you born in Buffalo, Louise?
Born and raised.
Born and raised in
right.
Buffalo. I'm so sorry.
Is that why you're here in California?
I'm so sorry.
As Fritz would describe in one of his many wonderful shows, I'm here to let my toes thaw.
Yes. Wow. That's still the way up there.
I worked there for 4 years.
Yeah, you were
I
a
worked
radio
at
personality.
ABC in Buffalo, and that's why
You're from Pittsburgh.
Philadelphia. Wikipedia.
Philly.
Oh, Philly.
Oh, it's
insists on
Wikipedia.
keeping.
I have a connection with that. The Amish side of my family.
Oh, listen,
Is from there.
Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah, Easton.
Yeah.
And Reading and Easton.
I'm a Yoder on my mother's side,
Oh my gosh.
and Yoder is like
That's
you know,
everybody who's
you're a
Yami-
Yoder. You know?
Amish is named Yoder.
Yoder.
That's right.
You don't have to change your name when you get married. So the towels, you can keep them embroidered.
Right with the big
Yeah.
Y.
It's a beautiful part of the United States.
Yes, it is. It is a beautiful part.
So I don't know what I was saying. What was I saying?
Well, we were talking
I
about-
worked in Buffalo. And so in Buffalo, my first job doing weather was filling in for the main weather guy at noon. And and their shtick was the weather outside. And every day, 365 days a year, regardless of what typhoon, what nor'easter was blowing across Buffalo, you stood in that. They would open the garage doors during the commercial preceding weather. They would wheel the green screen out there, anchor it down with sandbags so it didn't blow away. And then I'm standing out there with an Alaskan parka, and all you could see was my mouth moving. And every day we had to do the weather.
He was like the parakeet, because it's like, if this guy can survive, we can go out there.
Yeah, the canary. The canary.
Yeah.
The parakeet.
Yeah, the canary.
He
Sorry.
is no, because
So I feel like I paid
talk.
my karmic debt back there so I could be a weatherman out here, not having any weather.
Well, so I'm a little confused on the timeline. So when you were doing stand-up out here and got asked to do stand-up, you had already done weather.
I had, but it was really, I didn't even describe to them that I had that.
Did they know that?
Because I
Did-
was really bad, and I did it like 6 times for the noon guy at the ABC station, WK.
Oh, so they didn't know.
No.
But it was sort of in your destiny, obviously, weather.
Oh, I know. That's
Oh,
sad.
big sigh.
But I mean, I love the origin story because I always describe it as the greatest show business accident that occurred since Rita Hayworth was discovered at Schwab's Pharmacy. Was that who was discovered at or Lana Turner was discovered at Schwab's?
That's
Wow.
right.
I mean, that is you did have
Unbelievable.
you had the
And the
perfect gig.
older I get, the more I understand I was the beneficiary of insane amounts of good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, since you were doing this for such a long time, the media was changing, wasn't it? The medium, I should say. Though, because I remember watching in New York a guy who had little magnets. that
Oh,
he
yeah.
Put on.
Or the guy that could write backwards with a grease pencil.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so
Stormfield and Frankfield.
yeah.
So
and all
you
those
had to
things.
keep up with the changing media. What was that like?
Yes. Well, the presentation has improved greatly over time.
Yes.
The accuracy has not necessarily improved over time.
Good
Now we
point.
have all kinds of great electronic things to keep you. It's like a misdirection. As long as you see
Satellite
the
pictures.
glowing red line,
Dazzling.
Oh, yeah.
everything must be good, but still it's only 85% accurate.
Yeah,
So-
look at those yellow marks. Oh, that's heavy rain. I'm glad I'm not living there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually imagined that as a writer. I once wrote a piece about a weatherman and how suddenly you could get pictures from satellites. This is way back. It's like Firesign Theater doing kind of a predictive
the best,
thing, you know?
The best.
Oh, thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very
no,
much.
it was. They were so great, experimental and free form, and
Yeah, I
That's
know.
why it's cool to get to
when
talk
I
to you.
met you after one of your shows, that was what we talked about. You know, and
Lord have
how
mercy.
lucky we both were.
Jamie Allcroft, a good friend of both of ours.
Oh yeah, and I love Jamie.
love
And
Jamie.
I'm sorry.
No, just that I love him.
Well, but here's for those who don't know Jamie, he was a popular comedian with a fellow named Mac
Dryden.
Mac Dryden.
and it was Mac and Jamie. And they had a television show on CBS and all this stuff. But he had a bad heart condition. And about, I guess it's maybe almost 4 years ago now, he had a heart and liver transplant. And he's with
he's
us
a miracle.
now. It's a miracle.
And the
Yeah.
miracle of it was he was actually over the age.
Yes.
There's a
That's
window.
right. You're right. He was over
And,
the age. They
and
made an
not
exception.
a lovelier guy. I said, this is the karma wheel spinning
Yeah.
gently for Jamie. He was.
Yeah, Jamie's, of course, been on our show. And actually, we did a Boomers thing, which you can
Two
see.
boomers on a bench.
Two boomers
Come
on a
on,
bench.
man, that was hysterical.
Thank you. And when you look at it, I mean, it's still timely.
Oh, of course it is.
You know,
yeah.
and
You
that's-
probably could have expanded that a little bit. You
Yeah,
might have been
yeah.
a little early to draw people's attention. People are
think
used
so.
to watching shows on the internet now. You probably could reintroduce that. And
Yeah, you're right. And one of the mistakes that we made, a media consultant told us, friend, was be on as many platforms as you can. Now, how do they reach your show? Give us
well,
a
first
link.
of all, tell us about your show and how did you guys get together to do this and when?
We've been friends for, I don't know how many years, but
35.
maybe 35 years.
Did you meet through his stand-up? Or
I went to see a play that he was doing, his first play.
Oh.
A friend took me to see his play, and it was such a small theater that you could actually engage in a conversation with him during the play. So I thought this would make a great. It was a Father's Day. It was a father's sort of play. He was leaving a time capsule message for his boys that they could watch when they were old enough, so that they could learn more about him and the background of their family, etc. So I said, "How about a Father's Day special on NBC?" And we just started talking, and we hit it off, and we've been friends. I started teaching his kids drums and guitar, and
That's right. You play the drums, don't you?
yeah.
Yeah, and you've got a set up in your home where your studio is, where I had the pleasure of doing, I think I did 2 shows with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You did my previous podcast, Things I Found Online, with Jamie Alcroft and Danny Mann.
And Danny Mann.
Yeah.
Danny.
2 of the funniest men in the world.
Funny people.
We did. I think our very first show was with Jamie and Danny, wasn't
Danny,
it?
yes, it was.
At Shay J.
Ah.
Our bright idea.
It was his smart idea. It was a charming idea to do a conversational podcast from a restaurant that had a great famous
A real
story
lunch.
behind it. Down
It was
in
a Table
Santa
10.
Monica.
Are you familiar with Shay?
I am not.
Shay J is one of the last old joints in Santa Monica, and it's right by the pier on Ocean Avenue. And it is adjacent to what the old building of the Rand Corporation. So there is one, and this is a place where Steve McQueen and all the guys would hang out there because
John Fitzgerald meeting with Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, because there were no paparazzi allowed. Jay, who ran the place, was very cool about that. So guys could come in there, Robert Mitchum, they would all hang out there.
Yeah, in this little room.
And there's a booth in the back called Table 10, and it has curtains around it, and it's where Warren Beatty cast shampoo, and it was where Henry Kissinger would dine when he was at the Rand Corporation. It's allegedly where the Pentagon Papers were handed over. It's also where Marilyn Monroe hid out until she got the call to go down to Peter Lawford's place on the beach to hook up with the president. So we thought, well, what a great place to
Heavy
have
vibe in there.
Let's have a radio show.
Just push those ghosts out of the way.
Yeah. So we had no idea what we were doing.
No, and in the background, of course, it was
That's
fun.
kind of
but
fun. The live audience aspect of that must have been fun. I think that'd be a fun podcast.
I always tell people, if you're going to do a podcast that's supposed to be coming from this really cool location, do it in a booth.
Yeah.
And add the sound afterwards.
So smart. Yes.
That's it. You just cannot control how
That's right.
annoying a fork hitting a plate is going to sound. And you can't get it out of the mix.
Nobody had time to eat. The guests never got lunch.
No.
And then the pandemic hit, and that was the end of that.
Speaking of that, we missed having lunch with you today because of some mix-up in the media.
It was a media mix-up.
The
media in this path.
Yeah, somebody took a shortcut and went over there. Anyway, so I brought some cookies for dessert. All right. And
he's got them in his coat
They're going to
pocket.
be good. He's
These are
pulled them out of his
absolutely
Those
pocket.
are contraband.
so
They look like they're gluten-free.
isn't
you.
everything? But anyway,
So, Louise,
it's a
Actually,
little
they look
dessert.
like communion wafers.
Here's the wine.
You have such a remarkable career in radio, being a co-founder of Premiere, which is still, under the iHeart umbrella,
It is.
the largest producer of radio programming in the country, according to the website, at least.
I don't think they're making that up.
Yeah. I wouldn't think they are either.
I think that you can believe that. That sounds accurate.
So,
What does it feel like?
well, we talked about that, but what is your take now doing the podcast? What is your take on the mediascape at this point?
There's less people who come to work, and I know all the names. Premiere got to the point where, like, my partner Steve would just be like, "Hey, buddy," and people would come into my office and go, "I don't think he knows my name," and I'd be like, "Yeah, I don't think he does." If you hear someone yelling "buddy," it could be you.
It could be you. And what your nickname is Wheezy, is that right?
Right.
How did that happen?
Oh no, it's there's no H, so you don't have to make any. You don't have to gasp or anything. No, it's a nickname for Louise.
Wheezy.
And I was a page on the Jeffersons. So if your name
really?
is actually Louise and you're a page on the Jeffersons, I don't write these rules, Ted. This is just the way it is.
Yeah,
You're going
yeah,
to acquire that nickname and you're going to embrace it. Because the great Isabel Sanford,
Oh, that's beautiful.
George Jefferson would yell, "Izzy!" So I didn't call when he yelled for me because I knew he was referring to Isabel. But on the Jeffersons, her name is Louise and his nickname for her is Wheezy.
Wheezy.
And I've just been Wheezy ever
I
since.
went, I went to the American Comedy Awards with Edie McClurg many years ago.
Love her.
And
sweetheart.
it was a funny night because she wasn't part of the ceremonies. I know Tom Hanks came up to talk about Forrest Gump, so that sort of dates it. That's where he talked about how it took 10 years to get that movie made.
10 years ago to make.
So we were in what they call, I guess they call like a cutaway table. So we're under the lights so they can cut away to the celebrities going, ah.
Yeah, right.
and Edie was asked to do that. And Edie was not happy about
genius.
being
I don't want to be a cutaway
be
table.
a camera monkey.
No.
And so people got progressively drunker. And sharing the table was George Jefferson.
Sherman.
Sherman said, and as we're all waiting because it was late, they were late on getting it started, and George, and Sherman's getting a little drunk, and it was just surreal. And then
Sherman's getting tanked.
J.J. Walker. J.J. Walker comes over,
Try
and
the
the two of them are like razzmatazzy, and I'm like having a hallucination, and it just kept going and going. And finally, Sherman just says, "Damn, every year, same thing. They always start 2 hours late. 2 hours late. Come on." With
true.
George Jefferson,
That's a pretty darn good impression.
He's getting increasingly pissed.
No, Sherman was actually a very shy man, and I do not know. That's the most jumping into character. That was the biggest transition I've ever witnessed as a
Really?
page, because I did all the Norman Lear sitcoms the year that I was a page. We did
how exciting.
Facts of Life, Different Strokes, One Day at a Time.
Well, then did I meet you? I did Your Insurance is Canceled.
Yes. Did you? I
on
had
the
a name
Family.
tag. I was wearing a polyester
I was
blazer.
But anyway, I've seen the episode. It's really quite funny.
Which show were you on?
It's called Your Insurance is Canceled.
That's the name of the show.
Yeah, some black people had moved in next door. I was his cousin.
You're talking about the Jeffersons.
Wendell Hornsby.
No, he's talking about
Wendell Hornsby. I
All,
was his,
all in the Family. You're talking about All in the Family.
Yeah.
Oh,
Didn't I say
I
that?
wasn't a page on All in the Family.
Oh, drat. Well, we'll just
that-
let's turn that page then.
Look at those
Just the
shows.
spin-off
The
shows.
Jeffersons in black content and All in the Family would never get made now. We're so politically correct.
So true.
That the topics and the areas that they broached on there they'd never make it.
Well, I would beg to differ, because Norman Lear was a visionary. So he knew in his time period what you needed to put out there and what would be really pushing an envelope in a positive direction. And have you seen the live reenactments? And
Yeah.
word by word from the scripts of the Jeffersons, Different Strokes, All in the Family. Yeah. And they're as timely today.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's what I mean. They were ahead of their time. But I
Yeah.
mean, to go in and do a pitch where you're talking about the N word in the Jefferson show, which they dropped all the time, they would never do that now. And some of the political and racial stuff in All in the Family, I bet they would edit.
But we have such a racial history in this country.
Oh, my
what
God.
happened?
Not in Florida.
No, oh.
But I think that and I thought they were brilliant shows. Don't get me wrong, but I also think that it did sort of empower people to laugh and be able to say words they couldn't say, even back then. I mean, I witnessed that.
It did help.
No, I
get
think it
people
served a great purpose, and we need it
Yeah.
now. It's-
Yes, we
but
do.
but there's an honesty that goes with that, and I think we're avoiding honesty at all costs now.
Well, do you think there? I mean, are you doing stand up?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you had to change?
I don't do any politics. And I have a new special that streams on Tubi called about being old. It's called Unassisted Living, and I just talk about the common experiences related to aging and what made this saleable to a streaming service, and we're going to try to spread it to others, is that I think our demographics, boomers and older, are way underserved in the stand-up area on
we are.
streaming because people my age don't want to be assaulted with profanity. I mean, I love Dave Chappelle. I think he's brilliant. I love Chris Rock, but there are a lot of people that don't want to be assaulted with that language or the raw material. So I thought, well, there's an underserved part of the audience.
Well, because I knew Richard Pryor, and he really was the first one to break that barrier.
Yes, of course. Everybody's just doing an offshoot of Richard, but
bless his heart.
And so that made it sort of appealing to the Tubi folks. And so it's fun. It's just common experiences of getting old. It's your kids and your grandkids doing school on Zoom. It's about vaccinations. It's about all kinds. People starting fights. But I don't do that was a long way to go. I don't do politics.
Yeah.
I think people now just sorely need a 1-hour escape from all the crap they're living.
I want to tell you a funny thing. I co-authored a play with Samuel Joseph called God Help Us. And it was a political show. God brought down two talking heads, a liberal and a conservative, and was asking them to debate these ideas. He was afraid that the fabric of his universe and his beautiful planet was being torn asunder by this partisanship. And we wrote this funny play about it. And
how long ago was that?
Oh, this is about 3 years ago. Ed Asner played God.
Bless his heart.
Yeah. And he toured America and some of Canada with it. And people loved it because we were presenting both sides of the story. And the end of the thing for God was basically switching parts so that he made the conservative into a liberal and the liberal into a conservative. And by the way, it was a man and a woman who had a previous history together. Okay,
that's kind of the way they do family therapy. Let's do some role reversal.
Exactly.
Now. You hit your husband with a baseball bat now. That sounds great.
It was well embraced. I'm so sorry we lost Ed. We haven't been able to find somebody to fill those wonderful shoes of his.
You're listening to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show on KPFK with our wonderful guests, Louise Palanker and Fritz Coleman.
And I got to say, we're very honored to be considered sexy boomers, aren't you? That's the highest compliment I've ever been paid.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate that how interesting and enjoyable it is to be sexy for this hour.
You know, we get a lot of that, and that wasn't the
intention.
That wasn't the intention at all.
No, it's a wink. I know.
No, what we did was when we were starting, what we're going to call this show. Well, we're talking to boomers, so boomers should be in it.
Yeah.
And what else?
My wife, Melinda Peterson, was present for this.
Yes, and I had made a documentary called Mau Mau Sex X, and just because I had that title in it, what
was it about?
It was a profile of two old film exploiters who laughed all their way to the bank doing pre-pornography, the worst movies ever made, just hilarious.
Is that streamable? That sounds really fun.
It is. You can see it on Vimeo.
Oh, great.
So you titled your show with search terms that are popular. Boomers.
That's right.
And sexy.
So sexy boomer.
You guys are geniuses.
Oh, thanks. Well, you thank our listener. And
we should change the name of our show to Sexy Media.
Well, so the point is that we were talking about is like this. The baby boomers is a much maligned generation at this point. I mean, yes, guilty as charged. However, not entirely, and we also are by far the wealthiest demographic.
Yes,
we're idle.
Speak for yourself.
There's people want to, people are really want to be entertained. They're not being spoken to. It's this really grand opportunity. But, as you know, 55 plus don't know about podcasts.
Well, that's very, very true. As a matter of fact, when we first started, we did little tutorials on how to launch a podcast in your car. But you have to.
The way that I look at it is that they've barely mastered Audible. Audio books. They can listen to a book in their car. And I think the next step is, hey, Grandpa, listen, show me your phone. Because they hear the word podcast and they think it's like saying HBO to a person who doesn't have HBO.
Yeah.
It's not for me. I don't have it. I don't get podcasts. Yes, you do. Everyone gets podcasts. If you have a phone, it came with a podcast app. All you have to do is type into the search field Media Path or Sexy Boomers.
Right.
If you start typing the word sexy, though, it's going to autofill some other stuff. So be prepared for that.
That's true.
Keep typing. Don't get distracted.
By the way, I have to mention June is audiobook month. And I did an audiobook of my book, Where's My Fortune Cookie?
Oh.
Where I added some new material and everything. and it's going to be available now at Sue Media. I mean, they're just pushing it again. Where's My Fortune Cookie? Phil Proctor, SueMedia.com. You'll find it.
You know, and the other thing too is Audible search, where you just can. That's one of the things I talk to younger people in their 30s and 40s, like tech bros that are, and I found out that they actually are buying Siri for their parents because they're tired of the questions. Like, where's this? Just talk to the box. Just talk to the box.
Well, yeah,
and
you buy it for the safety aspect of it. I bought it for my mom, because she lived alone until late in her life. She wanted to be able to turn the lights off and on at will. She wanted to turn the heat up and down at will. She wanted a security system. She wanted the cameras and everything. And then, like 3 days after she installed it, she called me. She said, "I keep talking to this thing, and it's just not responding to me." And I said, well, let's go through it. And how do you do it? She said, "Siri, and I said, well, first of all, it's Alexa. It's not Siri. Siri's in the car, Mom."
Google.
And then
She only had one kid because she didn't want to learn a lot of names.
No, that's right. And I said, you have to pose everything as a question. It's like Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Everything has to be a
that's
question.
In the form of a
That's right.
question.
And so, anyway.
Did she get the hang of it?
Yeah, she did.
But theoretically, they could bark out, "Hey, play me the Media Path podcast," and it should come on.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
People do that.
Or the Sexy Boomer.
But you do have to
show.
say Alexa, and I hope if I'm saying this on your radio, it didn't ignite your Alexa.
No,
I do apologize.
Did you see this SNL skit about whatever the name is, present for older people?
Yeah, I did.
Where you could she would answer to Excedrin.
I think it should be grandson.
Anyway, it is amazing. The robots have won. Folks,
no.
they have.
No,
You
there's
people
no
walking up and
robot
down
as
the
funny
street?
as you, Phil.
Oh well,
you're funnier than any
we're
robot.
Not, well, we're not talking. Artificial intelligence cannot write a joke.
No, that's you took the words right out of my
Yeah.
mouth. I said, I think the last entertainment medium that won't be faked
Is ours.
is humor.
Humor.
And, because it's about attitude and I don't know.
And I put out a thing called Planet Proctor. I don't know. Are you on my
Yes.
list? And Fritz, I'll send it to you
I will
too.
I'll get on it.
And Planet Proctor, the last issue, I published one article in the thing that was written by artificial intelligence that Ted gave me, and nobody gets. Very few
it's
people.
mind
guessed
blowing how it is. But humor is a different thing.
Yeah.
Humor is an alchemy that I don't know that
Yeah.
we'll ever be able to. I hope not. Anyway.
I hope not.
Well, it was
That's right.
interesting. I used the free ChatGPT program to find out,
Oh yeah, this is
to ask, who is Phil Proctor and who's Ted Bonnet, and they both completely got it wrong. So then I upgraded to the $20 a month ChatGPT 4, and both responses.
Oh, you want facts?
Yeah.
That'll be more. That'll be cost you more
And
money.
both responses were, "We don't have any information on these people."
Wow. Maybe if you have a Wikipedia page, though, it would. Phil, you should have a Wikipedia page. You don't?
The answer to that is yes. There's a Wikipedia thing on me, and I don't know if they.
No,
Ted.
I've
Ted.
hit out. Well, we're out of time. Can you believe it?
Oh, wait a second. I have more things to say. I wanted to be sexier.
Oh, well,
You can come back.
Less is more on the sexy thing. So,
Leave them guessing.
Where can our listener find you?
So we're on YouTube, and so there's a video version of everything. So if the guest is talking about someone like, what does this person look like? Just watch the video. It's on YouTube, Media Path, and we're at Media Path Podcast because YouTube now has usernames. But
Good.
we're also on all the podcasting platforms.
See,
So if you
that's the wise thing to do.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Overcast, wherever you go for
And
your
before we say goodbye, I want to wish a happy 31st anniversary to me and my darling bride, Melinda Peterson.
Melinda Peterson.
Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, 31
I'm
years
sure he's got
Happy
something
Annie.
major
and
planned.
counting.
Louise, Fritz, thank you so much
Chinese
for coming
food.
on the Sexy
We're getting
Boomer Show.
Chinese
Pleasure,
food.
fellas.
Oh, there you go.
Takeout.
You can hear the show at sexyboomershow.com. I'm Ted Bonnet.
I'm still Phil Proctor.
And we're going to have Carl Gottlieb, the man who wrote Jaws,
Yes,
on next
yes.
week, and he's going to talk about the strike, the writer's strike.
Oh,
So
that's right.
Tune in for that.
That's right. That's why the show is spontaneous today.
Yes.
No writers.
No writers.